How many people are... Nobody's watching on Twitch, even though I'm talking to somebody in the chat? That's weird. Okay. Come on, YouTube. I believe in you. There it goes. Excellent. Okay, now I just need to get on the tweeters. Tweet, retweet. Okay. That one, which goes there. And this comes over here. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. I really need a fucking haircut again. Hello out there in internet land. Should be coming up now. Let's see if we can get people in the stream. Hopefully the sound isn't too terrible. I still need to finish putting the office together and getting everything up and where it belongs. I think I'm going to get a divider curtain that might make the... I still worry that there are echoes and I can't tell. Didn't sound too bad in the audio test, but... how are all of you dudes and dudettes and undudes and whatever? Still gotta finish putting the pieces together. Gotta get a couple more graphs in the show. We can make that better. Can we make that better? No, that's exactly where I want it to be. Because I slouch during the rest of the show. Sig 2.0. That needs to go away. I don't even think Evemon is open. Where the hell is it popping up things for? Here, you guys can see me. Watch me work. Oops, that's not the right one. That's the right one. It comes over here. This goes away. We go over here. We press this button. You guys can see me make the show. We're trying to make sure we get all the 2Os done. Guess we already did that. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's interesting enough. Let's put that in. Oh, there is one other thing I wanted to do. Oops. Plus minus RL. That's it. Contents.text. Oh, that'd be sweet. Good luck, loud noises. I understand the pain of engineering stuff. Come on. Right there, right there. Yeah, okay. I don't have Mercurial in my thing. So let's see if we can add that and plot it before the show starts. Nope. That goes in here with these. Comment that. We're gonna comment those out. Gonna comment these out. We're gonna run 45 days. Yep. Source that. So I find it interesting that Mercurial has not triggered a flag. That's actually the thing that has me worried. For as much as they're talking about it, and I know that they're doing the stuff, it should show up. And it might just be that because it happened during the hiatus, we're at a new normal, and I just missed the reporting boat. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it manually and take a look at it. So let's just, that should be pulled up now. In here, not in that one, not in that one, not that one. In this one. That's that one, and... Ugh. No, that's not the one either. That one? Yeah, that one. So we'll come over here, we'll wait for it to load. We're going into this one. We're looking for Mercurial. I mean, the cell volume is up, and the price is relatively flat. You guys are going to make me pull 90 days, aren't you? Shit sacks. Because honestly, even if the Imperium were running short, there's no shortage out in the market. Now, I would love a hand figuring this one out, because I must have missed whatever the news was, that there's this huge dip in everything. And I got to figure out the date. I just can't figure out what the hell was going on. So, theories are appreciated. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's go to the next one. Try it again. Should have a decent show tonight. Not as many side flags as I usually like to see, but that's fine. So let's go just double check. Make sure I didn't miss anything. What? 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 Transmitter's kind of interesting. We already pulled the Omen out. Pulled the Brutix out. Enriched uranium is somewhat interesting, but it's coming back to normal, so we missed that. That's not the right one. The other one. The other one. Oh, and Steam has to go away. I will not play Rocket League on my Eve stream. Mercurial. Well, ain't that interesting? I mean, there's nothing to trade off of, but we'll include it. Boom. All right. That should be enough for a show. So we can probably go back to that one, the soothing Eve G to undock, because I have been playing so much. Let's see, I gotta kill 10 minutes. So, I guess the life update is that we are now in Seattle, so if you guys are in the neighborhood, feel free to send me a ping or an email or something. We'll figure out if we can meet up. I do love going to Eve meets. They are the best. Eve people are the best. The move went pretty well. New job is, if you guys have watched The Simpsons, and the one where Homer goes and works for Hank Scorpio, the supervillain, and everything is perfect. It's a bit like that. Everything is perfect, except that my family isn't miserable. So, at least yet. The job is freaking amazing. Like, I feel like it's hard to get away to not do the whole like Cinderella. It's all going to come crashing down, and it's all just a ploy to make me happy for like 8 weeks, and then the whippings began. Ha 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 ha. The team is amazing and super talented. It's definitely, I feel totally outclassed, but let's see. We are getting, how many people? Well, that's not bad. We could have some more. Oh, Noisy's here. Hi, Noisy. Oh, and don't forget to vote. Voting closes tomorrow. We're going to talk about that during the show. I've got my dudes up on my bracket, and yeah. Otherwise, I'm hoping to get back into dev here in oh, and voting closes at 12. Okay, so it closes like tonight. So I'm hoping that we can start dev operations up again in April. I'm going to have some talks with the guys we already have to see if we can lay out some roadmaps and some ideas about how to get things done. And I'll probably do a blog post and a longer talk about after that's completed. I'm hoping, again, I'm a little hesitant. I'm hoping to carve out some time in my week, in my mornings, to start working on doing some of this work. We have about all the data I would want to have. I could still use, there are still a couple of data sources I would like to have, but I can source those now. I think that they're covered, essentially, in a way that I can get at them, and I don't have to write scrapers. So the only data set I don't have locally is the... Oh no, there are 2 data sets I don't have, and I should probably fix one of them, is the PCU numbers. But we should be in a spot that I can start writing statistics scripts again. And I'm hoping to go write some of these statistics scripts because we're working on a project at work that looks a lot like that. So I'll be able to get back into that loop of do a thing at home, do a thing at work, back and forth kind of thing, which I do really enjoy. Beyond that, don't know what else. I'm hoping to also get another stream night. Maybe Monday nights, maybe Sunday nights. I got to double check with the wife and stuff. Just where I can stream a game, something that's a little less formal. I have wanted to do office hours for a very long time, something where we can get some community questions and we can do like an hour worth of that kind of content. I also need to bring back the market maker interviews, but I want to put development ahead of that. I know you guys like those, get a lot of positive feedback on them. There's still a few people that I'd like to do, but seeing as the next round was tied to CSM people and I totally dropped the ball because of the job change, I'd like to wait until after FanFest to talk to those CSM people. We might still talk to Deanna, just because they are going to be working on the show and a whole bunch of other code stuff, so they might just be interesting in general. But I'd like to talk to CSM people after they are confirmed CSM people, because I think that'll. I'd hate to get them in the middle of this thing and be like, hey, let's talk to so and so who then quit the game because they didn't get on CSM, or here's this person that you heard of, and oh, I'm so impressed by him, I'm going to vote for. Oh wait, the voting closes in like 9 hours. So that's my bad. I do feel bad about that, but duty calls, real life and all that bullshit. There are no active users. Okay, whatever. So the show starts in like 10 minutes. But as far as like alternate days, like just to get another day, maybe 2 hours, extra 2 hours in the week, I would prefer to either do it as an ad hoc sort of Q&A session or playing games in general. And I haven't had the drive to really want to play Eve lately because it requires a pretty substantial upfront time investment to be playing it, and I just haven't had the time. Though I'd love to do, I'd love to go grind on some of the Project Discovery stuff. But like I've been playing a ton of Rocket League and getting really salty at ranked mode because people in doubles are dickheads. When they start to lose, they start playing for the other team, and it's like, that's how you lose. There's only 2 of us, so not bitter, not salty. Let's see, what else? Anything else that people want to hear in the next 5 minutes? No. Wish I had more interesting things to say. I do not. Oh, and liking Seattle a lot, except for the traffic and how it takes it forever to get everywhere. Thankfully, we were smart and got an apartment not far from work, so I'm not losing my entire life to schlepping all over creation. We haven't had chance to get into Seattle proper, but again, if there's anywhere that we need to go, I am open to suggestions. So. And I love beers, so if you guys want to go get beers, I would love to go do it. I'm near Bellevue. I'm in Kirkland. The words. The show starts in like 5 minutes, so don't you worry. I understand that it's like retarded o'clock in Europe, and I know how much you European guys love this show, and I wish I had a better time slot. Now with the new job, I can probably do maybe start doing a European stream once a quarter, or something like that. They're extremely open at work, and I'm like, oh well, I could take a morning off and come in late and do like a half day. Where that was an enormous pain in the ass to do at my last job because it was a much bigger company. Those would probably be Friday evenings for you guys, though. So if that works out, I don't know. I can't do the Thursday. I can't do the Thursday show early because that's like one of my early meetings. But we could do it Friday mornings. So yeah, and things should get a lot friendlier when we get back to the time change again in the fall. And yeah, that should be better. Geez, come on, clock. Go forward the 2 minutes so I can just start this thing. Also, I'm wondering, I'm gonna go look at schedules next week. We might, I'm kind of hesitant to stay on a weekly cadence, after May. We did the last big, hiatus from July through September. And we're probably going to do that again, but I'd rather do that as a tapering schedule rather than do week on, next week, oh, there's like nothing to talk about, third week, oh, we're really running out of things to talk about, fourth week, okay guys, have a nice vacation, we'll see you in 2 months. It just tends to be the quiet season. Again, we'll play it by ear with the way news goes. That's just the way things tend to be. All right, we can press that button. And we can give it just a couple more minutes. Get the show started. Oh, again, the pre-show spiel. The show, thanks to everybody who is tuned in live. Again, we're back from hiatus, so thanks again for tuning in. We will be, the show, if you haven't tuned in before, is we do 30 minutes before, which we just ended. We do the main show, which is about 45 minutes. I don't tend to answer questions during the show. Just to keep the cadence up so I can do the editing quickly. And then we'll do about a 30-minute Q&A afterwards. I might cut that a little bit short tonight so I can get the editing done and get the stuff out, but we'll see. I always say I'm going to cut it short, and I never do. If you guys would spam your favorite channels and get tuned into the show, I would really appreciate it. I always like seeing those live counts nice and high. We're live on both Twitch and YouTube, depending on how you feel about each of those platforms. We follow the Twitter account is the best place to see when we are going live. I put the schedules out there. That's a great place to retweet. What else? Oh, and join the Tweet Fleet Slack with information down in the channel info below. That's the best place to talk to me in general. I'm not in game very often at all, but I am on the Tweet Fleet Slack nearly constantly, so that's the very best place to get in touch with me. Let's see, what else? Anything else? And I guess thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Because, yeah. Actually, before we start, I'm going to share just a quick anecdote. So, we get up to Seattle. Buddy's like, oh, there's a Twitch meetup. And I'm like, oh, Twitch meetup. I do Twitch. And go to it, and there's a whole bunch of people there who are all neato and interesting and stuff. And they're like, oh, hey, do you broadcast? I'm like, oh, yeah, I do. And I'm like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm like Mad Money without the enthusiasm. And, yeah, that was, that was the description for the show. Like, I talk about graphs. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this show going. Let me make sure I get the recording started. Good evening and welcome back to the Eve Prosper Market Show. We've been off the last couple of weeks, but we are back in the saddle again. We've moved locations, not that that really counts on the internet. So before we go ahead and get into the main meat of the show, let's start where we usually do, talking about show news. Like I said, we're back on the air. We were off for a couple of weeks. I was moving IRL from Boise to Seattle. If you guys are in the Seattle area and you want to hang out, go ahead and throw me a ping on either Twitch or direct message or Evemail, and we'll figure out a time to meet up and have beers or something. Also, if you want to follow the show, all you got to remember is Eve Prosper. That'll get you to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and the blog. I know that I've been sorely lacking on the blog front, and again, we've been on hiatus. But I expect to have some more news rolling out in April. The goal for April is to get our back-end development stuff back on track. K162space.com has been doing some excellent work on his own project for reporting. He's trying to report a whole bunch of statistical data and predictive data. And we've got Deanna Olympos working with the EMDR, Eve Market Data Relay guys, trying to resurrect that project into a Crest-ready thing. And so we're going to try and see if we can do what has not been done traditionally in the past and actually team up and steal each other's ideas, and rather than do it all our damn selves. A wild idea. So I'm hoping to have some news on that front starting in April. We're going to do some meetings probably next week-ish and get a roadmap out. If you want to help contribute, we do write Python and Perl and database stuff, and we're looking for some help on the front end side. Go ahead and drop me a line on the Tweet Fleet Slack. That is the best place to get in touch with me. Information on how to join is down in the information below. You can also contact me in-game and on Twitter, but I am the fastest to respond on Slack. I think that covers everything. So let's go ahead and move into the news. And news has been sort of sparse this last week. I know there's been a lot of in-game character news, and if you've been on the Eve Reddit, it's basically just been a test wall of propaganda and middle management dinosaurs. And though I appreciate it, there's really just nothing to read. So we're going to go right into the most important piece of news, which is, again, CSM 11 voting closes, and as of this live recording, in about 8 hours. And so be sure to get voted. I know that once this gets onto YouTube, voting will have closed, but it's important enough that I'm going to go ahead and reiterate who our candidates are and make sure that you guys do vote, because it really is important. And I'll probably tweet this out again just as a quick, like, don't forget to vote kind of thing. So once again, this is the Prosper Ticket. That's Steve Vernukin, who has served 2 very good terms as the DevFleet's CSM representative. We have Deanna Olympos, who is a personal friend, and if you would vote for me for CSM, if you would vote for Lockefox in CSM, you should vote for Deanna. There's Dutu Fu, who is a Aussie industrialist marketeer guy, and really impressed with his blog and his work, and I'd love to have some AU love on the CSM. Jaffe Algao is from A Band Apart and Stay Frosty, and he is, if you are at all interested in, what's the word? enabling, I guess is the word. I know there's a better word for it. He is there to make sure that the most diverse people can play Eve, whether they are fully abled or disabled in any sort of way. I'm a huge fan of this, especially with a lot of I know a lot of older Eve players are starting to see the benefit of being inclusive in that way, so I do like Jaffe. And last but not least is Gorski, who is a bit of a weird nut in this particular thing. If you don't like Gorski, I would endorse Mr. Hyde instead. Gorski I believe in because he is extremely knowledgeable when it comes to actual mechanics and their interreaction. And he's the kind of guy I want ready to lock horns with CFC members when they need to have their horns locked. So that's the way that I have voted on my accounts, and I encourage people to consider these 5 candidates. I know there are far many more, and we did talk in the last show 3 weeks ago about alternates who were close, but we're not going to talk about them now. So let's go ahead and get right into the market news, and let's talk about PLEX, because holy crap, what the hell, PLEX? Jeez, oh Pete's. So I take 2 weeks off, and the entire market goes in the freaking toilet. I want to know what the heck you guys were doing in my absence, because this behavior is extremely strange. We saw it break, almost touch. I think it briefly went under 1 billion during this nosedive, and this behavior can be seen in a lot of other graphs this week. So we're going to talk about. I would love to hear some theories as to what was really going on, because this was not just the PLEX market. We're seeing it return back to the near 1.15 billion mark. It looks like we're going to be back into a steady state of that in the next couple of weeks. But like this amount of weakness in the RSI plot is unheard of. Like PLEX touches the RSI line and then goes back up crazy. It never stays under the oversold line for like any meaningful amount of time. And again, we can see in the year view, like the amount of drop we saw was reminiscent of a Black Friday sale, and I didn't see any reason. I didn't see any sales to drive this either. So this would require a extremely generous PLEX sale, and I did not see anything close to the kind of volume you'd need to drive that. If we look at the other RMT tokens, again, we can see the same behavior where 30-day, PLEX and multiple pilot training certificates and skill extractors were all tracking each other. Skill extractors are still slightly overvalued, which is great especially if you're buying RM directly rather than PLEX. And then the interesting thing is the pilot body resculpt certificates had been, so this is a normalized view, right? This is the RM cost versus the yield in RM for PLEX is the multiplier here. And we're seeing that the resculpt certificates are really starting to climb back up to that parity level. In fact, they were at parity level during this total nosedive. And I find this particularly interesting because I didn't think that many people actually resculpted. So, yeah. If we, again, zoom into the PLEX view, we can see that the prices really tanked, but we didn't see any activity really to drive it. Like, we see a little bit of shortage here in cells, but that should be rising the price, not falling it. Like, it's like an incoming, like a whole stream of these things were put back in the game and cashed out. That's what this kind of looks like. So I don't know. I don't exact like this downward behavior and this downward behavior do not look at all like the way they should be. They should be the opposite, actually. Looking at the skill injector market, Again, we should probably expect to see this mirroring up on the top graph, seeing as we've normalized the costs to just break out what the ISK per skill point value is. And again, we're still looking at a very positive valuation, especially if you're running 2,700 skill points an hour. We were touching 800 during the spike, but we're still up above 750 at the moment. This again will net you something in the neighborhood of 500 million ISK a month if you went ahead and farmed 3 characters, even buying multiple pilot training certificates. We're seeing the supply drop off, which is probably also driving the price up some. The buy orders have stayed relatively stable in the 2K range, but sell orders available on the market have been dwindling. And this, again, I'm not sure what's driving this. I would have expected, especially when we hit this this particular peak, which as the price of PLEX goes down, the price of extractors will go down. The price to the share of the injector that you're locked into paying goes down, and the profit per skill point goes up. So I don't know why we're not seeing more of these come to market after this particular dip. Like, I would have expected this to rise back up to the almost 2K mark to then fizzle down. And then just to look at the actual prices on injectors, we keep seeing positive trending, which is exactly what we'd expect to see with the supply constricting in the last week or so. Moving on to minerals. Minerals were another interesting piece of the puzzle. Tritanium was up significantly. We've seen it stable around right around the 6.2 level, 6.1 level, and it bumped up to almost 6.4. I believe it is still climbing. We saw it spike up to 6.6 in actual sell orders, and we're seeing a shortage on the actual quantities here. And I really should lock this one to 0 just so you guys can see what the shortage actually looks like. We're going from about a 20 billion unit steady state into what was probably some lock-in for Citadels. This is actually what was probably happening. Is if I go ahead and put the line for the test server opening up for Citadel stuff, I bet that's what this lines up with. So again, I expected everybody to already be bought in. Like, all the smart people should have already bought in months ago and just be sitting on it and be laughing, because the values that you need aren't that high. But I guess there are a bunch of people who are going to show up late to the party. Like, to hold that kind of investment for 3 or 4 or 5 months would really suck. Next, we move on to pyrite, which you'd expect to go up, but has been tracking down. And if we zoom, let's actually sit on this one for just a second more. We're seeing volumes traded staying relatively stable, but the price of the actual products going down under 11.0, heading towards 10.9. And the crest graph is a little more alarming than the actual EVE Central data. EVE Central data says that though we are down a couple of points, we're still trading relatively strongly. We're seeing a slight uptick in supply from off the 7.5 billion mark. So we should see a little bit of weakness getting us under that 11.0 line. If we move on to Mexallon now, the crest picture here is not going to be at all the same as the EVE Central picture in just a second. We're seeing things rise up relatively strongly. Again, this has been a personal favorite of mine to speculate on. I know that if you guys have been watching for any amount of time, I have been saying that under 60 is a good place to be buying in. And prices have been creeping up, closing at 62 in the last day. But if we zoom in even further, we can see that there are some major swings in the volumes available. And if you went out on the market like right now, you could be selling for 70. I don't know if this particular spike is going to stick. We are in a it's an unstable spot to be talking about it. But I really like the idea of stockpiling Mexallon into FanFest because it's going to be needed for Citadels. It's going to be needed for fax machines. It's going to be it tends to be the canary in the coal mine for heavy industry, and if you can get in on this deal under the 62 mark, I think there's some real money to be made. I'd be putting a target of 70 if you wanted to be generous. It might be hard to actually hit that though in the next 6 weeks, in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So keep a close eye on Mexallon. Moving on to Isogen. Isogen is pretty quiet. We saw it bounce around just under 100. Again, this one we have been watching for the last few months, but it looks like we're finally at an equilibrium right around that 100 mark. Again, I sort of expect it to track slightly up after into Citadels, but only in so much to get maybe up to 105. But I wouldn't put any bets on that. Nocxium is another interesting one. We saw a huge spike, again, probably due to Citadel speculation, big buyouts moving the price from 470 to 480. And if we zoom in even further, we can see that prices are over 500 at the moment. Now, I can't remember if I said that this was a buy a few weeks ago. I know that I tend to ignore Nocxium just because it bounces around a little bit weird. But we are seeing a reasonable shortage here where we've gone from 200 million units on the market down to what looks to be about 140 million units. And again, this is probably due to pre-Citadel speculation driving this particular one up. Zydrene has been interesting for the last few months. We've seen it rise up to 1,400, a price that I find completely astronomical and stupid. And we're finally edging off of that. We're under 1,200 at the moment, and volumes seem to be subsiding. If we zoom in again, we're seeing that the actual supplied volume is creeping up. It looks like nullsec activity might be driving that at the moment. As this supply line starts going up, we should keep seeing Zydrene slide down. Looks like we're being held at 1.2K at the moment, but I expect to fall under that in the next week or so. That's a bit of a risky bet to be doing, but seeing as I expect it to go down, I wouldn't tell people to buy it. We saw a little bit of buy-in around the Citadel speculation, but we've seen supply come back to fill that gap. So I don't think this one. I think this one has a little bit more room to slide before buying in. Megacyte is a similar story, again in lockstep with Zydrene, which again I find completely weird. And same story as before. We see a little bit of buy-in ahead of Citadels, but the supply keeps creeping up. This shortage that we saw between the February and March releases looks to be over. Again, I kind of expect a bit of a resurgence in nullsec to be driving this excess supply. Next, Morphite, which has been completely hosed by a weird outlier. So I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. Volumes seem to be relatively stable, but prices are down. We're getting to that 10K mark. I like buying Morphite at 10K, personally. I think it's a good spot to be buying in, especially if you expect the rigmarole about test and PL and CFC going and locking horns together. This might be a chance to get into that. Now, I haven't seen any of my indicators move yet for all the propaganda flying. I haven't seen anything of substance on the market yet, if I may spoil the second half of the show. But I like buying Morphite under 10K. So that's just me. I used to be a Tech 2 builder. I like speculating on Morphite. And then if we look at all of the trends together, we can see Nocxium up significantly, Mexallon again spiking, Pyrite tracking down, Zydrene tracking down, Megacyte tracking down. Morphite looks like it might still have a little bit more room to fall, but again, 10K is a good spot to buy in my opinion, but you might have to hold on to that for a while. Moving on to fuel. Fuel has been interesting since I went on hiatus. So again, the picture is what we've been seeing for the last few months. The only surprise here is how strong hydrogen has been in the last few months. This might be due to fueling Death Stars, actually, with the moon wars going on in nullsec and lowsec. More and more of those hydrogen isotopes might be making it into towers now. But we still see the strength of nitrogen staying at 900 and everything else staying at about 750. And if we look at the fuel blocks, so 118.3 introduced more strontium in the equation, and strontium has been absolutely bonkers. So most of these are moving because of strontium. Now, just by looking at these, it looks like the Caldari blocks might be undervalued, but it's without the actual build costs here in the calculation. That's really hard for me to say. Zooming in on nitrogen, again, we're seeing the... I brought the nitrogen fuel block. That's the wrong graph. Okay, so we're not talking about nitrogen this week. If we look at hydrogen isotopes, again, we see the big spikes bringing us up. We saw the huge spike around Citadel that brought us up over 1,000 per unit. We're still seeing strength above 800. But it looks like supplies are staying relatively stable, so I don't expect things to peak up unless there are these really strange events. And then strontium has egg on my face. So I had said before the hiatus that I believed that 1,400 to 1,600 was a good strontium price. That was basically double what it was in the past, and that's where we had settled after the first announcement of strontium after the waves. And then they brought out new recipes, and strontium stuck to 3K, and now it's up at 4K a unit. So it looks stable at 4K. I still think 4K is a retarded price, but I'd have to go through the actual fuel block consumption numbers to really back that assertion up. But if you were holding strontium, 4K is a pretty good place to be selling out. I know a lot of people jumped out under 2K and we're all having egg on our face, and I wish I could have told you better because I did not see this coming. Moving on to outliers. The advanced material market should be really interesting in the next 2 weeks. There's been a lot of shaking up on moons, and moons are switching hands. And we might see stockpiles get liquidated, or we might see some constriction in supply in the bottom end of this equation. So I'd be keeping a really close eye on these if you wanted to speculate. Now, the day-to-day I think is going to be a little bit difficult. I don't know if I have the time to really build out a picture here for the show. I wish I could come up with a decent forecast for any one of these, but I would need to be tracking which moons were switching hands. So I might talk to Blake about that. I might talk to K162 Space about that to see if we can flag on moon switching and which products we expect those to move. Silceramic fibers is up pretty strongly. We're seeing the carbonides up. We're seeing a lot in the middle tracking up, but most of the high ends are staying stable. So I would keep a really close eye on this in the next 4 weeks. There should be, especially if the wars start picking up and consumption picks up, that will just add more instability into the market, and more instability means more chances for you guys to make money. Next, our darlings for the last few months have been the P4s, and to be honest, I think now is about the time to cash out. My prediction 6 months ago was that this was going to be a bit of a secret and there weren't going to be enough to come to market. And seeing as we've had 6 months of that, basically every week that we've gone between Eve Vegas and release, shrinks that surprise window down, right? Looks like almost everything is tracking up relatively high. You might have missed the peaks as of this broadcast, but I'd be watching for a chance to get sold out in the next 2 weeks if you were still holding P4s. You can hold on for the release, and I think there might be another spike when the release hits, but I can't guarantee that, and I'm not super sure about that behavior. So I'd be watching for the weekends to be selling out. I think we're going to see some more spikes, maybe not as high as like broadcast nodes hit 4 million. They might spike back up to 3 million. But there are a lot of great chances to be selling off your stockpile here in the next couple of weeks. Moving on to ships. We don't have a lot of ships this week. I think that one of the more damning pieces of evidence is what I'm not showing, where the last 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 12 weeks, I've been showing off bombers and interceptors and heavy interdictors pretty regularly, and none of them were interesting this week. Not a one of them. So we have the Brutix Navy issue, which is very interesting in that it looks like we hit a shortage and the price rebounded pretty hard up to the 170 million mark. And so if you can cash out faction warfare loyalty points, this would be a great chance to go get a few out the door. I don't know if this is going to last into the weekend, but it was an interesting pattern to see, and a great chance to liquidate some LP if you guys have it. Next is the Omen, the Tech 1 version. We've seen it stay relatively stable for the last few weeks, and it's been tracking up. I think part of this might be the instability of its minerals, driving it up from 1.1 million to 11 million to 14 million. I don't think it can stay up at 14 million, so if you are holding on to these, I would be selling them. Also, the volumes aren't very high. For as much as I love the Omen, it is not a super popular ship. And then the Mechariel has been in the news a bunch, and again, I kind of want to report on the fact that it's not interesting. So the CFC has been relatively famous lately for using Mechariels in their doctrine, and the really interesting thing is for them using them for the last 6 weeks, Mechariels are still stuck at like 440 million. I remember buying my last Mechariel at 900 million. The really telling part of this picture is down on the bottom, where we're seeing that the sell volume is absolutely there to meet demand. So the prices are staying stable, but the supply is rising, which means that since the price isn't falling, all of those new items coming to market are getting absorbed. So it's a great time to be cashing out Mechariels if you needed liquidity to move, because we've gone from being able to absorb a 200 unit market up to almost a 600 unit market. But you're not going to be making a huge amount of money on this. We're still seeing them in relatively weak price territory. Now, we are seeing that the variance has increased. So we've gone from a band of maybe 20 million from high to low, and we've expanded that to maybe a 40 or an 80 million band. So there's some speculation space if you wanted to buy in low, sell high, keeping in a 1 week sort of time frame. But beyond that, I don't think that there isn't a ton of money to be made. And as soon as the CFC's operations lock down, which I expect to come to a close around shortly by the end of May, if I'm a betting man, just because that's been the traditional thing. Oh, and I guess I should have put in. Remind me for next week to put the attack battle cruisers on my list, because it's getting to be about Burn Jita season. So that may be another place to put money if you are betting on the CFC. Moving out of ships, we're looking at customs office gantries. These are so you can put down POCOs, and the prices are tracking up. These tend to be extremely stable because you can get them out of every loyalty point store, and the fact that they're at all over 100 million or 10 million, I can never read these damn things, is just strange. Looks like we're seeing a lot of real estate changing hands. And then another interesting one is the high-grade ascendancy epsilons have been tracking up significantly. So the ascendancy set is a warp speed set, popular among freighters. This might be some amount of shortage. It might just be a new demand on it. Might be more people coming to the thing. It also might be people who have dumped skill points into building a new freighter who want to build a new character have been buying up these things. So if you are in the market of trading ascendancies, I'd be going off and selling them. So moving on to the prediction review, where we go through the stuff that didn't flag, and though I probably should have organized these a little bit better. First, RIP geckos. We've been watching these ones for several months, and man, so the new Garistas event opened, and it was confirmed that geckos were dropping in sites, and man, geckos dropped under 50 million. Now they've been tracking back up to their old price, and if you bought in at 50 million, you'd be sitting pretty. I always find it entertaining that for every one of these drops, we keep seeing the return back to normal after that particular event. And I'm being informed by the chats that the POCO prices are due to Eve Uni cutting a swath through Pirates POCOs. So, and then Quaff is another interesting one. Again, this one's getting dropped in the Garista sites, and Garister sites. And again, we're seeing a big tick up in supply and a huge slide in price. So even though these were dropping in every Frostline site, the price didn't get under 8 million. And now that the price is down at 6 million, this is an excellent chance to be buying in if you need Quaff Zero. Now, I'm hoping that CCP doesn't just keep coming back to the Quaff Zero as their giveaway of choice, because if it drops down much further, I'm kind of like, Quaff Zero isn't special anymore. But I am not game dev CCP Lockefox, so that is up to those guys. But if you needed to stock up, if you were holding back, if you missed your chance during Frostline, now is a great chance to go be picking them up. And then last, just because I like watching them, is Jump Freighters. Hold on one sec. Hold on. Out of the saddle, and my voice is wanting to kill me for 30 minutes of talking. All right, last but certainly not least is Jump Freighters. Sorry, geez. Last but not least is Jump Freighters. Again, just because I like watching them to see if we can see the other trends. The interesting thing I am seeing here is that for all of the noise in the advanced material markets, we're not seeing any movement in the Jump Freighter markets. Things are extremely stable. In fact, I would count them as too stable, overstable, which is weird. I don't know what to do with that information. Like, speculating on Jump Freighters is a really expensive proposition. I think it might be a decent chance to buy in, but that's locking up 7 or 8 billion units. So I don't know if I'm really willing to put my money where my mouth is on that one. But with that, we're going to go ahead and bring another show to an end. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live, which you can do on Twitch and YouTube every Friday night at 0300. Which you can do at 0300 every Friday night, Eve time. That's Thursday night US. If you guys want to tune into the show, the best way to do it is to remember Eve Prosper. That'll get you to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and the blog. We're up on YouTube the next day, and the blog has the podcast. If you want to support us directly, the very best way to do so is through our Patreon, which I forgot to talk about at the beginning of the show. Our patrons keep this show free on the air for everyone. It keeps it ad-free. It keeps the licenses paid. It keeps me from having to go broke doing this, and our patrons, it's always nice to throw a beer at people who are doing content that you enjoy. So if you can give, if you want to, if you get value from the show, if you can give, we would really appreciate it at our Patreon at patreon.com/EveProsper. If you can't give, we understand. That is perfectly fine. Be sure to tell all of your friends about the Eve Prosper show, and we should be back next week at the same time. Again, last little piece of news is I am now in the Seattle area, and if you want to hang out, get a meetup together or anything like that, drop me a line on Twitter or in-game, and I will we'll talk it out. I would love to have beers with you guys. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the show. Again, I've been your host, Lockefox. You've been watching the Eve Prosper Show, and we will be back next week with more market news. More market news. That's going to be a butthole to edit. Bop. And that's a show. So you guys might need to give me 1 minute to get my drink refilled. Go ahead and feel free to start asking questions. I'll be happy to talk to answer them for the next 30-ish minutes. It's always great to have you guys live, and it looks like we had a pretty decent turnout if the numbers aren't lying. 30-ish tuned in live. That's not bad. I probably could have hyped up the returning from hiatus thing a little bit more. So give me just 1 minute away from the mic, and I will be right back, and we will answer questions. Feel free to chat in the chat, and I will respond in just a minute. And we're back. Sorry, I've been watching Jacksepticeye, which is bad for me. And I watch both chats. I am in everywhere, all the time. Let's see. Benjamin in YouTube is asking to sell Mex at 70 or wait for patch. So my target is 70, and I would hope to hit that before the patch. There is my feeling on here, let me get the cam so you guys can see my ugly face. So my general idea about market trading in general is that we're going to plot everything. We talk about what to do between the discontinuities, and I expect FanFest to be a discontinuity event. I just don't know which way it's going to go. Odds are that it's going to be positive. The hope being that, but the hope I would be wanting to do trading in Mexallon right now is to buy in at 60, sell at 70, which gives you like 12% or 15%. Try to buy in again at 64 or 65 as it bounces around, and then wait for FanFest and sell again after FanFest. Again, the hype factors should be positive, but I'm having a hard time guessing exactly what they're going to do because we know what the April release will be. We know that it will be Citadels. We know that it will be the new Capitals. And then whatever they release after that, I don't know if it can really rise the tides of all the T1 minerals. Now, there are other bets you could be putting down. I would be putting on bets for Tech 2 materials, but that's because I love the Tech 2 material markets. But what to actually guess is coming in FanFest, I don't know what to tell you guys. So that's my answer there. I would target 70, get paid out, because hitting a target and maybe not making as much money is better than being greedy, watching the target walk by and not making any money at all. So that's my personal opinion on the matter. Moving back to the Twitch chat, the booster production. So if you want to know about booster production, you should go listen to our second market maker interview on YouTube. And I've done some articles about boosters. I love boosters. They're amazing. Go check that out. If you want more information beyond that, I'm not sure what to do specifically, but we can work something out after that. I don't keep so it's hard to keep a really close eye for this show on the booster market because it's a more of a shadow market. Most of it happens behind closed doors, so it's hard to keep metrics on it for the show and keep the automation going. And this show lives and dies by its automation. So if you guys want more content than that, like tutorial or something, I guess spam me about it, and I will try to add it into my schedule. Yeah, again, buying Quaff at 6 is a great time to buy. Again, sorry for everyone who bought in at 8. I would have expected a sell-off at 10, but I really didn't expect the dip to go this low. I expected it to go like 7 mil, not all the way down under 6. So Taylor in the YouTube chat is asking about getting into the PI production market. And there's two ways to do PI. The first way is the low end, which requires nearly no upfront ISK, requires a good amount of active involvement, but is essentially 100% profit. Is basically just turning time into ISK, is going from P0 to P2s. So that's building things like coolant and guidance systems and rocket fuel and that kind of stuff. Doing it in high sec is a real chore, but getting your hands on a tax-free POCO in perhaps a more dangerous piece of space, wormholes or low sec or null sec, can make a huge difference for a newbie, and is a great chance to grind up the ISK to get that first billion essentially. It's not great, and it's a great way to burn out. I wouldn't want to do it for more than 4 or 6 weeks. The other way to do PI, and this is my personal way, even though again I'm not super active, is to do the P2 to do the enrichment from P3 to P4, whatever, P2 to P4. You want to go be making those top end products by enriching them 2 steps. Now that requires about $1 billion per character starting investment, and definitely requires a logistical chain to get things in and out. But it's a great way, as after you've made your first billion or so, to really get your time's worth out of the process. I still find a lot of the PI stuff soul crushing, but it's the way that we have supported a lot of our younger characters in faction warfare. So it's definitely, it's not glamorous, but it'll pay the bills. And thank you, Loud Noises, for commenting that I have a beautiful face. You're adorable. Yeah, mechanical parts, coolant, water is a P1. If it goes into fuel blocks, that's a great place to be. I've always liked rocket fuel has been good to me. Guidance systems were particularly hot this week. A lot of those. So if it goes into fuel, everybody needs that. If it goes into Tech 2, so that's, again, rocket fuel, guidance systems, mechanical parts, and construction blocks, those are another great place to be working. Yeah, I've never wanted to work in livestock. You only work in livestock the 2 weeks before Martin Luther King Day, because that's when the National Stock Show is. Ba-dum-psh. That is my terrible not a joke. My opinions about crossing zebras. Did they say something about investing? I wish they'd stop doing that. Oh, Trade for ISK is back. Markets for ISK is back. Neat. I should have included that in the show. That would have been interesting. No. So for Tech 2 production, I like doing it in high sec, and even with Krius, I think that's the best place to do it. The shipping makes just that much more sense. And I like doing it in such high value chunks that high sec just really makes sense. So you're not going to be able, I would not be locally sourcing my moon stuff. That's an enormous pain in the ass. Just don't. If you can get one product and you can actually get it cheap, and you don't have to manage the towers. Sure, maybe, but most people think they know. Like, a lot of people are just screwing each other on that. I don't love that particular thing. Or you're sucking down a bunch of time, and it's kind of becomes one of those mined minerals are free kind of problems. So I would want to do basically the whole chain in HiSec, and unless it's ships, ship them out to nullsec. Now, even ships you can still freight for reasonably cheap, because I like doing high volume stuff. So I was doing bombers and interceptors and Ishtars now and then when they were hot. And now right this second the margins are pretty cold, so it's a little harder to do the thing, but that's the place I would be doing it. I think that the finished products take up so much less overhead, freight overhead. Now, if you're just doing modules, I don't think anybody gives a crap. Like if you're doing damage controls and ballistic control units and those kind of things, life is fine. But you start getting into the heavier guns and you start getting into ships, you start having a real logistical pipeline problem, and that shit is so easy to solve in HiSec. You just get Red Frog to ship it, and you can focus on the important work and outsource the bullshit. I mean, those should be small enough that you can do them in nullsec. You're making your life harder than it has to be. That's the moral of the story here. Mad Maxi is asking about making the charts. So the charts are made in R. I have all of that linked on Twitch. You can there should be links to the repository. I think all the R stuff is in Gist. All the charts are made with R and ggplot or QuantMod. The data is sourced either from Crest for the history feed, which is the same sort of feed that the in-game market makes. The only thing I've done is offset the average days by 1 to get an open and closing, faking opening and closing. The other ones are from Eve Central, and those are using Eve Central snapshots on my own database. And I would love to open that up to people. I just haven't figured out a good way to do it, and I don't want to write an API because I don't want customers, because then my entire life will be servicing that API because I'm bad. It's going to be a goal to make it so you guys can get all the data we do, and if you guys want to do data science with it, I do have a utility to download big chunks of it. I just don't have a way to let people anonymously pull it whenever they want on demand. So that's the story there. Working on it. I really want to make it so we can do, since Eve Central, not Eve Central, Eve Market Data was doing a we're selling our site bullshit. I really want to bring up an eveprosper.com that would let you basically have Ameritrade for Eve. And that's going to be an important goal as soon as I get the statistics stuff redone. So we can start having some stronger reporting, and we can build some better profiles, and we can start highlighting some of this stuff and making the data more valuable than just reporting it straight out. Jebflies is asking, do I still believe PLEX is the gold standard? So I think skill injectors are a great way to speculate now in the medium term. Like if you're looking to hold ISK into the summer, I think injectors are a better place to be doing it in the short and medium term. In the long term, it all still ties back to PLEX. They're all still done in versions of PLEX. And by adding skill points into that, you're just adding another variable into the equation. Again, I got to eat my crow for not predicting the way that skill points were going to get valued. I think that I again have a hard time believing it's going to go much further north from where it is. Like to really talk about ISK per skill point growth crossing 800, 900, 1,000 ISK per skill point still seems kind of ridiculous. And until we really have a year's worth of data, I'll be kind of useless for making long-term predictions. I still think I still worry that with ISK per skill point being so positively valued, that we're going to end up in a positive feedback loop, especially when next fall rolls around, and we'll crash right north through a 1.5 billion ISK PLEX or even higher, because as long as the skill points, as long as Eve is free to play doing that, and it's better than free to play at the moment, I sort of see that as a demand feedback loop, and I always expect the balance on the supply and demand, the strict supply, like the actual incoming pipeline of PLEX, to be less than the steady state demand for PLEX, just because I expect people to be stingy with their dollars, especially for economies that are getting really weak against the dollar. Your euro's getting weak, your ruble's getting weak. This will mean that we'll be seeing more supply from America, but I don't know how many of those people are actually going to go buy plexes off of Russian sites and all of that. Like that 4x thing, I think is just going to temper the actual supply of Plex rather than really drive people to convert currency. But I might be talking out of my ass on that one. And I mean, I see it on both sides, and I fought Caleb Aranya on this rather tooth and nail. He and I do not agree on the way that pay to win works in Eve, and it should work in Eve. And I like the way that Plex and all of that works right now. I'm actually a really big fan of it. That you can either spend your time to make your Plex, or you can spend your money to make your Plex. And I think people undervalue their time and overvalue their money. And it means that I can still stay in the game because I can go buy. If I had to grind my ISK when I actually had time to play Eve, I would have quit years ago. I do not have that kind of time. Like, I'm rocking the nice job child free thing. So damn right I'm gonna go buy Plex. I don't have that kind of time. What do you think Trump is going to do to the price of Plex? God, Trump terrifies me. I don't know. All I know is there'll be a 30% tariff on it somehow, and we'll have to climb over a wall to get it. It's really brave. The first orange president. I mean, he's really brave. I do love that joke. Oxycontin says, if Trump and Hillary are on a boat and that boat capsizes, who survives? And he says, America. And he's damn right. God, American politics, man. Don't get me started. Okay, so a quick thing. So I've just moved from Boise to Seattle, and let me tell you the political whiplash, man, going from ultra conservative to ultra liberal is just fucking hilarious. And so it's great to not have to hear Trump news at work every fucking day, because I just wish he would just die, stop talking, and just not be in the news. But we keep feeding him, and it keeps growing. But now I get to hear all the Bernie stuff, which is just almost as annoying. And all of the, can you believe that Hillary is like robbing the election from Bernie, and we have to fight for Bernie, and like, oh my God, please stop. Like, I heard the most annoying NPR thing I've heard in years on the radio a couple of days ago. So they usually run about a 10-minute segment before the hour during the news segments, and they're usually okay. Like, I usually catch Marketplace Morning Report on my way in, and it's fine. Like, I don't care. And I'm driving back, and the whole 10 minutes for that segment was talking about like this diversity thing at the university, wanting to like, white people can't possibly help because diversity people have to solve this. And I'm like, oh my God. You need to put down your Cesar Chavez. Who's the guy on the t-shirts? Oh God, the revolutionary t-shirt dude. You need to put down your Marxist books and get off Tumblr and come out to the sunshine and talk to real human beings again. Shea Rivera, thank you. You need to stop with the Shea Rivera and come out out in the real world and talk to some real human beings and get off of Tumblr, because that place is terrible for you. So just moving from one extreme to another, I moved to Boise, and I just didn't believe that the cartoon of like the super Republican existed. And then I worked with him. I worked with several of him. And I've learned to just sort of be like, smile and nod, and that's fine and whatever. And I'm like militantly moderate, so whatever. But to come to the other side on the left of like, we have to enforce this thing to get to this thing. I'm like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. So yeah, it's it's so funny. Oh God, no! Being moderate is extreme these days, right? Like, if I'm not posting up bullshit on my Twitter about how the other side is made of Hitlers and robots, I am not American. Thankfully, it seems that most of my coworkers are politically neutral. At least they don't have loud opinions, which is really the most I want. Like, that's really literally the most thing I want out of all of that, as I just don't want to talk about it at all. Because it's an opinions are like buttholes kind of thing. Most of them stink. Almost all of them stink. So yeah, if you're arguing politics on Facebook, it's like winning the Special Olympics. You're still retarded. Here we are talking about American politics rather than actual market stuff. Actually, actually, real market stuff has me completely completely flabbergasted with China basically shitting the bed the last 3 months, and Europe in a strangely weak place financially, even though they shouldn't be. I mean, most of the crises have stopped, and they should still have reasonable strength. Is weird. And then Russia absolutely like scraping the bottom because oil prices have gone in the toilet, and I didn't realize that low oil prices were going to be that bad, but whatever. Oh, and I loved the 200 skill point, 200 skill injector kill. I wish I had a way to to show that on the show. I need to build up a way to build those profiles so we can do a kill of the week. Now that I have the data, I should be able to start doing that. I just have to figure out how to do the themes automatically. Well, and then the other thing is that, like, so I sort of, this is my frustration with the real market, is that anything that goes on, I can sort of understand, right? Like the by and large of it sort of makes sense. When I was sitting at Micron, I could sort of be like, oh, well, all of tech is weak because I know that this is happening in China and this is happening in Europe, and we're going down, and so is Intel, and so is Samsung, and all these people. So it all made sense. And then the last 3 or 4 months, the Dow and the NASDAQ have just been going completely haywire and moving completely opposite of whatever the news has been telling you to move, which is the part that I don't get. That's the thing that this is the part of real life market reporting is the reason I dig into this stuff as deep as I do, is that I'm like, why doesn't it make sense? I know math, I can figure this out. Why doesn't it make any sense? And it just drives me insane. Well, Octavius, about the skill injector, I mean, it's probably sanctioned RMT in that he was a whale buying into Eve through CCP. Could have been. I'll give the benefit of the doubt there. I guess Noisy really knows the thing. He has a great blog about it, and I haven't had a chance to read it. So, oh, it was illicit? Okay, sorry. It was illicit. Go read Noisy Gamer stuff. And read all about that. But helicopter money, I have not heard of that. Honestly, like, if I'm going to... this is about the closest we're going to get to me actually being political, is I think Europe needs to take its head out of its ass about austerity. But that's what I think is really, really choking the system. I mean, and then... There have been... I don't think they can surely spend their way out of it now. I think it's the time to go play that game was back in 2009, 2011. But this idea that they can just cut their way to prosperity, I think, is ill-informed. That Europe as a whole will actually pick the things that will rise them out of that. I don't believe that they will, because I just, whatever. But yeah, that's my 2-esque on that. And then America has its own fucking problems. But I don't think I have to worry about that right now. Watch me eat those words in a year. So Triskill is asking about moving things for regional trading. I like freight services. I do not like moving my own freight if I can avoid it, because 1, you get it insured, and 2, it does not take your game time. And I am very stingy about how I spend my time. If it's cutting into your margins, I mean, go haul for yourself. That's fine. I mean, orcas are perfectly defensible and fine to fly if you are of a space trucking ilk. Don't let me tell you what to do. Don't let me tell you not to have fun in the game. But the I would rather spend my time instead of hauling, finding the next, executing the next trade, or going off and not playing a different game for the night after I've got my stuff done, and just dealing with the freight when it arrives the next day. So I like freight services a whole hell of a lot. Oh my god, that's silly. I don't know if I believe in direct stimulus, dude. So Mr. Deegan, the guy I would look up, so one, go check out Eve Talk by DeLone Wolf as another source for this. He has a lot more guides than I do. The other one to look up is Eve Mogul. He has some guides on how to get started. And then Markets for ISK is a great blog if you want to get that sort of starting from nothing thing going on. Those are the resources I would go to. I don't have a ton of great guides about getting started. Better to target low sec hub or high sec. Depends on how much you're moving and how good your tools are. I made a lot of my early money in targeting the sort of high sec gateway systems, so things like Norvu Kaiken and Ichioria in Black Rise and Torinos in Lone Trek, and those sort of stepping stones. 1.8 trillion ISK. God. I don't know. I think I tried to trade an OT and I didn't get much traction, but it's been years. The next best thing is I like also major low sec hubs. So that's like Nanamalia. What is the other one? Hysera, not Hysera. What's the one next to Devon? Next to Old Man Star. Whatever. Those kind of places where you know that people are there, but I would only do it if you're already based there and you have a jump freighter service to help supply it. I especially like fitted ship contracts in those places. Now, I sort of dictated from on high that fitted ship contracts would have a given margin, and that I was absolutely militant about making that margin stick. Like as a industrial director, I said that thou shalt not sell fitted ship contracts for less than the corp markup. And this is because you are trading somebody else's time for your time, and they're a extremely useful service tactically, so that people can refit easily. And they take a significant amount of horsepower to keep going, and a significant upfront investment from the people who are making that happen. And the idea of the margin is to incentivize people to do the work, and to keep people from being altruistic for like 2 weeks and then being like, well, fuck it, I'm not making any money on this, and stopping. Like, I need that supply to stay intact. And having some altruist giving away their time at JITA prices is not a sustainable system. So if you guys want to do that, I have a tool for it. Ping me through Twitter or in-game or whatever. I'll send you a thing you can make a copy of, and to make at least the computational part of it easier to work with. But the idea that I really had to put the beat down on some people to tell them that no, if you want to spend your time, you can use the same utility. You can spend your weekend double clicking yourself to death to keep your ships together. And if you're PvP supplying, the jump freighters are free in the Corp, but the second you're buying off of the Corp contracts, you are paying the markup because it is a luxury product. And they fucking hated me for it. But we won a bunch of, we kept winning, and it has been a stable system for over a year. So it's a huge service. It's extremely powerful if you can keep it going. And the secret I found was to just be a complete dickhead about the margin. Now, it's not like a double margin. Like I made sure the margin wasn't completely ridiculous. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of 20%. And it's actually calculated with a weighting to to meters cubed. So it's a slightly higher percentage for frigates, and it's a significantly lower percentage for battleships, because it's something like a flat meter cubed thing plus a markup margin. And the way I balanced it had to do with you be paying slightly more for the derp ships in margin, but like, what's another million on a 3 million-isk ship, versus making sure that the ones that were tactically required for work, so things like attack battle cruisers and battleships, were a markup that was representative of how much ISK needed to be on the ground, but was less about we knew that they weren't going to move as fast, so they had a closer to like 12 or 15% margin, I think is the way it worked. So I really like those contracts. I think that's an extremely lucrative thing. You need a good chunk of change to get started. Like, I started Aderon Robotics with something like a 4 billion-esque purse. And I was holding the whole thing up for a good couple of months while we were doing an invasion. But it has since grown. I think it's double that now, but there are something like 8 or 9 people working in it. And it's basically cut in halves, where one guy's doing the first half and the next guy's doing half of the remainder and the next guy's doing half of that remainder all the way down the chain. And that's exactly the way I wanted the thing to be set up, is so that one guy could take a vacation and somebody else could backfill and say, oh, well, man, now those are not getting filled, and I have a bunch. That's a chance for me to make a bunch of extra ISK. What do you do with returns? Okay, so Mad Maxi is asking in Twitch, what do I do with the returns? Is that so I am not as rich as anybody ever thinks I am. I actually don't have a bunch of liquid ISK, and I don't have a bunch of trades locked in at the moment. I have not been able to be active in EVE for several months. I've been active here to keep the show running because I love doing the show. It's just that playing EVE requires me to put 2 or 3, 1 or 2 solid hours aside, and I've just had a real hard time budgeting that. I like to fund projects, and that's the money is a means to an end. So like, I like building jump freighters when I get the chance. Those are a fun project to do, just because they're so expensive, and the sort of stuff that people do when they shouldn't do is actually worth it when you're spending $7 billion a thing. Like, every percentage point really counts. So that's a fun project to do. I like seeding projects that will okay, so my dream of succeeding in EVE, like, if I can spend money to do something that I really feel good about, is to start up a project that becomes self-sustaining. And those are my favorite projects. So getting the contract system up for Aderon Robotics was fun, and getting them helping design their POCO system was and a way to get people to use it was fun. I wasted a good chunk of money, a good like 3 or 4 billion on trying to get into the drug trafficking market, but I couldn't get it to the point where it sort of self-sustained itself without my oversight. I like doing the industry stuff to like I want to build systems so that everybody else can make money. I don't need $1 trillion purse. Like, okay, now with Citadels coming out, I kind of wish I had $1 trillion purse. But the I want to be able to design things that make it so people can easily make their money and be self-sufficient and not have to worry about the money. So that's what a lot of the code here, a lot of this development for this show is going into, is that I don't specifically need to make the money. And that's fine. But I want you guys to be able to make as much money as you need to do what you want to do, and to be able to do that with as little effort as possible, have that leg up to be able to get there without having to spend all of your time making money. I think that making money in Eve is kind of the vegetables, right? It's not really the most fun part of Eve. Okay, it is for me, but that's because I have brain damage. I think that, doing the PvP stuff is a lot more actively fun. I think that doing community stuff is a lot more actually active fun, and you need money to participate. And I just hate watching people who get into that trap of I can only make money, and I just need to spend all of my time making money, because if I have infinite money, I will have infinite fun. And there are a fistful of people who I know that's true for. I'm kind of in that boat. But a lot of people just get stuck in this treadmill of making money, and that sucks. And especially if you're trying to grind your Plex, I want you to grind your Plex in as few hours as possible, so that you have as many of the remaining hours in your month open to play Eve, not just work at Eve. So I'm hoping to go build up stuff so that I can solve some more of the market, and we can get some better reporting down, some better forecasting down, and start making it so we go from spreadsheets to more powerful tools. I would love to kill the spreadsheet. But that's going to require a lot of work. So I don't know if you can find it anywhere else. You can find the actual order history in-game and through any of the history APIs. But the sell order counts, I haven't seen them reported anywhere. Again, if you really want them, get on the Tweetfleet Slack or throw me a thing in game, or send me a private message, and as long as you understand how to set up MySQL and a ODBC handle, we can probably get you set up with our data. But it is not friendly. That is not a friendly way to do it. It won't. It will melt down any spreadsheet you pointed at. So I think we're way past my my time budget for the night. Oh, Citadels is the last good question. So Taylor in YouTube is asking, will Citadels replace the high-sec trade hubs? And if so, how long will it take? I don't know. I don't think it's going to replace GDA. I think that the centralized system makes too much sense in GDA, Amar, and Dodexy. You might see them rise in one or two of them take hold in some of those gateway systems. Stuff like Ichioria and Norvukaiken and those kind of places. Valor, those kind of systems. I still think they're going to be most useful in low-sec and null-sec. Really hoping they're more powerful there. I don't think that I don't think that they provide enough of an incentive to just beat NPC stations by default. Um, I think they give a good opportunity for small communities to get together. I don't see how they become automatically better than NPC. Especially since you can't get the larger ones in high sec. I don't think they're as useful. Now, VFK and Providence, absolutely. I think they're going to be all over the damn place there. But I don't know about regular space. Oh, and I would really, really love to see a couple of them take hold in the border systems, like in Yarja, Matamilre, and in Uedama, for instance. I think that would be a really interesting proposition to have a couple of these stations right off those really dangerous gates to at least watch the fireworks while docked up. I have a hard time believing that code will let them stand, but I would really love for those to get locked in. And I talked at length in the last show about what I feel about the tax system. I understand why they're doing it. I don't have a better answer with the tools that they have. I just don't love the way the tax system works, and I think that the entire trade fees system and mechanics, like the whole trade skill sets and fees mechanics, need a real look over with a real game design pass, the way we did with Creus. I don't love the fee structure. I think there are a lot of opportunities that are not being utilized. I think that the way that the system is set up right now incentivizes a sort of game design that has been overtly said as bad. Like we got away from, when we went into Creus, and they said, well, production efficiency is a shitty skill because you basically have to train it to 5 to even participate in industry at all. So we're going to change how ME works. And that was a good idea. And this new tax system is just bringing in another thing that says you have to get the broker fee and the tax skills to 5, and you might have to go grind more missions to get those taxes reduced to a useful point. And I still think that's shitty. It's not a useful decision tree, and it means that the rich get richer and the lowbies will get burned on things they don't really understand. So I don't like it. I don't like the new tax system, but I don't like it as a mechanic at its core. I don't think that the number in and of itself is evil. So that's what I have to say about that. I don't know enough about the no. Don't vote for me. Go vote for Diana. Diana Olympos. If you wanted to vote for me, vote for Diana. I'm going to go ahead and end the show. I'm going to try to get some of the editing done tonight, but I'll probably have to get up and do them in the morning instead. We will be back next week. Again, ping me on the Tweetfleet Slack or on Twitter, or if you have to, in-game. But again, be warned that I am super slow about responding in-game. I do have one. I'm never in it. Best place is still the Tweetfleet Slack. Information is down in the channel info. Talk to me there. But thanks again, everybody who tuned in and stuck through my ranting. We will be back next week. Fly safe or don't. It's up to you. I'm bad at sign-offs.